このカードに限って言いましても、昨日も一昨日もものすごい壮絶なゲームだったんですが、いやー、これはどうかな。天谷スーパー。広島東洋カープに2人目のスパイダーマンが現れました。マツダスタジアム、スーパープレーが再び生まれました。じーっと見といてくださいよ。もう完璧にスタンドインかと思いきや、
I don't know what he said, but it sure sounded like a fantastic call of that great catch. Welcome to this week's edition of Crafting the Call. This week we are discussing how play-by-play announcers can enhance some of the great catches in baseball. My name is Josh Suchon.
And I'm Jesse Goldberg-Strassler. Yeah, that's one way to preserve a shutout, right? The catch of the day. When we talk about fish stories, you can't believe it, but you can believe these catches that we're about to watch and see how they're described. Because, Josh, you and I, we've seen home runs. We know when the ball leaves the bat and it's going out deep, in this case to center field, and then suddenly the unbelievable happens. And when words fail us, how do we find those words to describe that moment?
I think that these are really challenging calls because sometimes the outfielders really like to fake everybody out, pretend like they caught it, pretend like they didn't catch it in order to fake everybody out. Also, it's so far away. If you don't have a good monitor in your booth, maybe you can't see it exactly, especially when there's two outfielders that are both going after the ball. Maybe there's a collision. Did someone catch it? Did someone not catch it? Did it bounce off someone's chest and into somebody's glove? There's a lot of things that are difficult to know in the moment, but you want to capture the moment the best that you can, Jesse.
This is where we channel the crowd. We channel the players on the field, because the crowd's disbelief is our disbelief. And the fun thing is, in general, being in the broadcast booth, we get to see the ground that the outfielder has to cover. The remarkable thing about Willie Mays' catch of Vic Wertz's drive in the 1954 World Series was how far he had to run and how far away from home plate he was. The catch there that you see, the Hiroshima Toyo Carp, to climb the wall on this high drive, right, with that launch angle soaring out. So with both of those off the bat, you're going, there's no way. And then there's a way.
Willie Mays always said that was not his best catch, but it was his most famous catch because there happened to be television cameras who captured it. Remember, most of Willie Mays' games, there was not television. But what Willie always said that he was thinking about was the throw to get it back into the infield so that the runner at second could only tag and get to third, but could not tag from second and score all the way around. And the other thing I want to add, Jesse, is can we start a petition so that every ballpark in America is designed with a fence so that an outfielder can climb to the top of it like Spider-Man and reach up way above it in order to make catches like they do in Japan?
The only other outfielder I've ever seen who's able to climb a wall is Bo Jackson.
All right, so we have a lot of different exciting plays that we are going to get into. And so without further ado, let's jump right into them.
Durham. First pitch swinging, drives it into left center field. Edmonds on the run, and he got it! What an unbelievable play by Jim Edmonds. Highlight reel after highlight reel.
Running moments this season. Curtis sends one deep to center field. Back goes Edmonds, and he makes another catch. The wall comes apart, but he grabs the ball. Wow. This guy can play center field.
Boy, and as he's sitting there, the Yankees lead here in the bottom of the second as the Angels go for the sweep. And Ed Sprague up there, first pitch swinging, drives one deep center field. Edmonds all the way back and up against the wall, makes a terrific catch. What a play by Jim Edmonds. In the air, deep left center field. Edmonds on the run. Dives, and he's got it! Throw into second base. They can't double up. Kent, what a play by Jim Edmonds!
And he's blown 4 of them this year, but he's nailed down 21.
LaRue to center. Did he get all of it? Going back. It is. Did he catch it? He did it again. Edmonds, a miraculous catch to center field.
Face Matt. There's a fly ball center field. Long run for Jim Edmonds. Oh, he made a catch! Unbelievable! Jerry, that may be the best catch I have ever seen.
Josh, where I'd like to start off with these is the broadcaster's focus on Jim Edmonds. Just like with Willie Mays, back, because it's the center fielder that we're watching. It's not actually the flight of the ball. If we're watching the flight of the ball, you call it much differently, right? That's when you start up with, it is high, it is far, or he hits it high, he hits it deep. But in all these calls, from Willie Mays on forward to Jim Edmonds, we are watching the center fielder going back, because it's all about his progress. And because the broadcaster is watching his progress, the broadcaster is in position to describe him making the unbelievable catch.
Let me ask you a question. Where do your eyes go from, let's say it's a ball like this, where maybe it's a home run, maybe it's not a home run, but you know it's going a long distance. Take me through where your eyes go from crack of the bat to ball to outfielder.
It's a great question because I came up with the wrong answer when I got my cup of coffee for the A's at Fenway. There was a long drive hit back toward the Green Monster, and my eyes go to the outfielder. My eyes go, okay, that's the ball in flight. Let's see how the outfielder is going to play it. Let's watch the umpire to see if it's fair or foul. And in this occasion, at Fenway, the outfielder plays back, so the outfielder did not move. The umpire did not signal, and now I have no idea where the ball is. It hit off the monster, it caromed right back to the outfielder, and the runner just cruised his way into second base. But because I didn't watch the flight of the ball, I was lost as to what had happened to it because there was no activity by anyone else on the field. That's different at Fenway. I still think it is up to us. The ball goes up, and now we have to watch how the fielders are reacting to it. What do you think?
Yeah, so I don't remember where I learned this, but I'm sure that I read it or somebody told me is don't try to judge the fly ball yourself. Let the outfielders judge the fly ball for you. So I think it varies based on just how fast the ball comes off the bat. There's certain times when it's just launched so quickly off the bat that my eyes just stay on the ball because I want to see how far it goes when I know it's a home run. But when I'm not sure, that's when I just look at the outfielders and I think, you tell me, do you have a chance at this? And so oftentimes I will indeed describe this is what the outfielders are doing. I might say, he's on the dead run, deep left center field. And then once I see him slowing down, that's my cue that this is probably going to be a home run, or I might even say he turns, he watches, it is gone. And that is also my cue and also the audience's cue. But there's other times when you realize the ball is not going to be a home run, but the outfielder still has a chance to make this catch. And I think that that's when your brain really has to start getting into hyper focus of what is the outfielder doing? What does he have a chance to do? And now I think mentally, and I'm not always great at this, Jesse, but what I think mentally is be a half second behind, be a full second behind. It's okay because the crowd is going to help you out a little bit. And this way you don't want to get caught. Actually, that's another good question. Do you like asking the question, did he catch it?
It depends on the circumstance, because in the right circumstance, what you let off with from the top, when the outfielder will not tip his hand, that's when you say, did he get it? Because you can leave the mystery in the air. And then when it's revealed, you can say, no, home run, or he got it. It's all about the reveal, because I side so strongly with we react as the crowd reacts.
Yeah, there's a lot of times that I've used the question, did he catch it? And I think it adds to the drama because that's what we're all thinking. Did he catch it? Here's the reveal. There's another part of me that thinks it's my job to know the answer. He caught it. It's not my job to ask the question. The audience might be thinking, I don't know if he caught it. You tell me, Josh. It's your job to know.
It's so much too about the arc of the ball. On a line drive, you can see everything. If it has high trajectory, there's a famous clip of Sean Green where the batter hits it so high in the air, and there's Sean Green out in the outfield, and he spreads his arms wide. He has no idea where it is, and the broadcaster is watching Sean, and the ball is landing 20 rows deep into the stands. It's gone. But the broadcaster's like, all right, medium depth right field. So depending on the trajectory, you can watch them both. I love seeing a quick first step. If I see off the crack of the bat that outfielder is moving, now my excitement is moving as quickly as the outfielder.
I think it's also knowing the personnel who's out there. When it's Jim Edmonds, when it's Ken Griffey Jr., you have to train your mind into thinking he's going to catch everything because he just might. And I think that sometimes when the ball's hit to center field, look, normally the best outfielders playing center field for a reason. And most of the clips that we're going to look at are all center fielders as well. But at the same time, sometimes there's just other outfielders and you just think, yeah, he's probably not going to make this play. And if he does, that's okay, because then the excitement in your voice or the disbelief in your tone of voice can help carry the call.
It's so funny because with Willie Mays, as you said with the throw, I want to talk about the levels of excitement. With inside the park home run, right, there's a different level when the ball gets away. So there's a level at second. There's a level at third base when the windmill happens. And then there's a level at the plate when you find out if the guy completes it. With this, what we're talking about, there's a level of excitement off the bat because this ball is generally pretty well hit, or there's the possibility for a base hit. Then there's the jump in excitement when you see the dive. And then there's the jump when the play is finished. And then maybe the outfielder might have to make a throw. So we've got 1, 2, 3, and then there still might be more action.
All right, let's get to our next clip.
Runner goes, and Lamb hits it in the air to center field. Looking for the single. Instead, he's got Robbery. Wow, what a catch by Gary Matthews Jr. to take away a homer. Oh, forget the cycle. You might have seen the catch of the year right there.
You may not see a better catch than that all year, maybe for a decade. This is a marvelous play. Finds the wall, times the leap, plants the foot, gets extended. My goodness.
Spider-Man. And Biggio still the only cyclist for the Houston Astros.
So this is Josh Lewin on the play-by-play. And this is Mike Lamb needing a single for the cycle. So you've got, first, Josh is set up. If there's a single, we've got a cycle. So he's got anticipation. And then he sets up for an interesting and I would say ambitious home run call. Looking for the single he's got, and he changes in mid-sentence to robbery because of Gary Matthews Jr.
I admire the way that Josh Lewin pulled that off, right? Because it's so easy to get caught into that thinking. And now, I mean, that might be one of the top 5 greatest catches of all time. I mean, just launching and then twisting with the glove. It's also a little bit of luck. Let's be honest. Yeah, I admire the way that Lewin was able to change gears mid-sentence. And I think that the color analyst going back, I like the word marvelous a lot. I think that was a really good word choice. Excellent job of describing going back and launching himself off the wall. It is a treacherous type of call when you're thinking this, when you think this is about to happen, and then all of a sudden quickly switching mid gears, Jesse.
It's hard. It's really hard. And you have to suddenly, because you've got a word in mind. Josh Lewin knows exactly what he's going to say. When this ball gets over the fence for a home run, he's setting up this word in mind, and to suddenly switch to a different word that quickly. Wow. And with regard to Gary Matthews Jr.'s effort, have you ever seen an outfielder go jumping at the wall for a long drive and come up woefully inaccurate? The ball lands 5 feet away, or it lands in front of them, and meanwhile they're at the wall. They've just misjudged it completely. So this is gracefully done, but this is one of the great catches ever, and I think that Josh was ready for the moment.
All right. Sometimes a player can make a spectacular catch, and sometimes it counts, and then other times it does not count.
Now Cal Ripken, hopefully he's getting hot. He'll hit third.
He drives it to deep left center field. Back goes Kamenz to the warning track. Leaps and he has it. He falls over the fence. Kamenz fell over the fence as he made the catch.
Got to be a homer.
It's a home run. He made the catch, but since he left the ballpark, it's a home run. You've got to stay in the park. You can climb the fence, but you've got to stay in the park. That's giving it the old college try.
That's one of the greatest plays I've seen in a long time. You know, if he'd have held on to this ball and not gotten over, boy, this would have been tremendous. It is anyway. Look at the ball. He probably dropped it right there.
But once he left the fence and went over the top, it was a home run.
My gosh, what a catch.
I've never seen that.
That's spectacular.
Okay, first of all, shout out to the director for the Baltimore Orioles television broadcast for having all of the angles, and the camera operators who were showing Brad over the fence and climbing back onto the field. I mean, the camera angles of that were fantastic. And also, where's Joe Carter to catch his teammate? Joe almost looks mad at him afterwards. Come on, Joe, grab your teammate and pull him back.
I love the Joe Carter mouth. Wow. I think this is home team sports. So, Josh, we've talked Bay Area. This is Baltimore. So this is where I grew up. And I remember seeing this on the 1989 Baltimore Orioles Why Not tape. And it's a play that's always stuck with me. Mel Proctor on the play-by-play here.
Yeah, I thought he did a really good job in quickly reminding people, this is a home run. This is not a catch. Now, in foul territory, of course, there's the famous Derek Jeter play. He makes the catch. He falls into the stands. His face gets all cut up. That's still an out because that's foul territory. Even if you catch it and you go over the wall, that is a home run.
We've seen this at Fenway with the short wall with the bullpen. But to climb up the wall, to disappear over the wall. So yes, reacting to the play, immediately knowing the rule and knowing what this meant for Cal Ripken Jr. And then saying, all right, let's watch this again because this is something I've never seen before.
Have you ever seen that before? I don't think I ever have. I'm sure it's happened before.
No, I mean, we've seen the great Rodney McRae play from the minors where he runs through the wall, but never just completely climbed and flipped over. Thank goodness that Brad Kaminsky's okay.
By the way, the Rodney McRae play, there's a great story behind that I learned from our mutual friend, Tim Haggerty, who broadcasts for the El Paso Chihuahuas. So it's a minor league baseball game. This is way before the games were broadcasted online. And so this is someone from the local TV station who came out to get a little bit of footage. And normally what the local TV stations would do, come out for the first 3 innings, maybe the first 4 innings, you get a couple of plays, you go back to the station, you cut up the highlights. You've got a couple of highlights from early in the game. You got plenty of time to prepare the rest of your sportscast. You insert the final score. Well, there had been basically no highlight plays for him to use. So he stuck around later than he normally would in order to be in position, in order to film that. And to this day, I've talked to Rodney McRae about that. It's pretty much the only thing that he's ever known for. He embraces the fact that this is the only thing that he is known for in a really good career. And that does count as an out. Even though he went through the fence, he did not go over the fence. So that counted as an out with him going through the fence.
Can we call a quick audible? Let's call that play up and let's watch it together.
Courtesy of Vancouver Canadian Rodney McRae, who landed safe and reasonably sound.
He is at terminal velocity.
They literally do not make outfield fences like they used to. And this might be the number one reason, Jesse.
I mean, you've seen The Natural. That has consequences in The Natural. Wow. And as we were talking about, do you follow the flight of the ball or do you follow the path of the outfielder? And the camera operator, this reporter, followed the flight of the ball.
Wood fences. Whew. Imagine being the advertiser who had that outfield fence sign. Number one, you're probably happy that your message gets all over the nation. It gets on This Week in Baseball. Number two, okay, we need a new wall, literally, for the next day. We need to get the advertisement back up as fast as we can. I still can't believe that Rodney McRae was just like, all right, I'm fine.
Yeah, ridiculous. If I was one of his teammates, oh man, I'd be looking at him differently. I knew Rodney was tough, but I didn't know like this. I went to Columbus's field back in the day, the Columbus Catfish, etc., Columbus Red Sticks. And what I recall was that they had brick outfield walls.
So I'm trying to think about how I would describe the Rodney McRae.
Yes.
And I would it was enough of a low line drive that I would probably be thinking outfielder, not home run.
Yeah.
And so I'd probably be describing him going back. He's still going back. He's on the warning track. He's at the wall. And then I would probably lose my mind. And I would start to wonder if he's alive.
So let me throw this at you. Do you have an exclamation like Red Barber had "Oh Doctor" and Harry Carey had "Holy Cow" and Dick Enberg had "Oh My"?
And Bill King had "Holy Toledo"?
Yes.
No, I do not have one. And I feel like, I'll be honest, I felt like that by now in my career, something would have organically just happened. And I would start saying that. And it hasn't happened. There's a few times that I've said "Holy Toledo" because of Bill King. I know that Vin Scully would say "Holy Mackerel" from time to time. And I think that I've said that, but I don't think that I've had like a go-to when someone makes a catch. Now, Jerry Coleman would say, "Hang a star on that one." And I put a star in my scorebook to remind myself that it was a great play. And so I might even say, Jerry Coleman would say, "Hang a star on that one." Or if it's a beyond spectacular catch, I might say, "Put 2 stars in your scorebook for that one." But and now I feel like I should have one, Jesse. Thanks.
Well, here's why I ask. Dave Sims says, "Hey now," but I would argue, and I would love to be proven wrong on this, that this generation, this era, does not have exclamations like that. That was actually a generational thing. Was you came up with replacement phrases for what in normal life you would use profanity. So you had to come up with replacement for profanity when you were in a professional spot. And I just don't think we have that very much anymore. If you look at the big time broadcasters, I could not look at any of them and say, Dave Sims excluded, this is what this guy says when the moment takes all other words away from him.
You just had me thinking about this, Jesse, and it's an interesting topic because I think that in the 80s and 90s, when Sports Center really started to become a prevalent part of our lives and catchphrases really became super popular, Chris Berman and Keith Olbermann and Dan Patrick and Stuart Scott, and it was all about the catchphrase, whether you were doing the highlights at the end of the night or whether you were in the moment doing play-by-play. There's just not as many catchphrases that are part of the sports lexicon as much anymore. Maybe we need to change this, Jesse.
Well, and the catchphrases are specific, right? It's back, 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 gone. It's bang. It's for those specific moments when you're describing it. Mike Breen is not going to say, if something happens that he has never seen before, bang. But Holy Toledo works in every single situation. It just works. It's something to say when you don't know what to say. Holy cow is something you can use whenever you need it. And we just don't have that as much in our society right now.
I feel like I want to open up an entire bottle of wine and drink it by myself and think of phrases that I can use.
Yes.
Going forward.
I mean, Chuck Thompson would use phrases that he would hear from his next door neighbor, who is a terrible golfer. He'd just be in his backyard practicing and just go to war, Miss Agnes, etc. So it's so interesting because we're about to hear one. And if you don't mind, I would like to watch Al Gionfriddo, because Red Barber, in this unbelievable moment, reaches for his pet phrase.
Joe leans in. Here's the pitch. Swung on, belted. It's a long one. Deep to the left center. Back for Gionfriddo. Back. He makes makes a one-handed catch against the bullpen. Oh, doctor. He went exactly against the railing in front of the bullpen and reached up with one hand and took a home run away from DiMaggio.
Oh, doctor serves a very important purpose in that call. And Red Barber, when listening to it years and years afterward, when asked for his thoughts on that call, said what he was proud of himself was saying back, that he stayed right on the call and that he calls the catch right when the catch happens. That's what he's proud of. But I would say as a broadcaster, okay, you've got it. You've got Gionfriddo going back. You have not given up on the play. You've got him making the catch. And then the doctor allows him to bridge back into, let me recap for you what just happened.
Ooh, I like that, where it's a bridge. It's the bridge from this is the moment that it's happening, catchphrase, maybe pause, catch your breath, let your brain catch up with you, and then go back to any other details that you missed out immediately and reminding people what just happened.
Yes, and I think that's important. You need to let out a wow or whatever it is, a sound, before you get back into that. You need to just exclaim your emotion and disbelief at that. And that's what I'm saying. I just don't think that we have things like holy smokes as much anymore.
Another thing just came to mind watching that clip is how deep that part of the ballpark was. And I think that there's certain places, Jesse, and like at our ballpark at Isotopes Park, right? It's 424 to deep right center field. And so as I think about this right now in real time, mentally, I know approximately how many words, approximately how many seconds I have if the ball is to left center, if the ball is down the right field line. But center field, when you start going into back, he's still got 4 more steps. How many backs am I going to say? And so I know that I start to think of what are different ways where after I've described the outfielder is pursuing this, he's still pursuing it. Like what can I say differently? And so that's where I might go into, let's take Mike Tauchman was our center fielder. He's been on my mind because he's made a bunch of great catches. So I might say Mike Tauchman's going back. He's on the dead run. And maybe I say, that's the deepest part of the ballpark, or there's a lot of room out there. Just some other phrase to remind people that's why he hasn't caught it yet, or that's why it's not over the fence yet. And even to slow down your own brain. Don't jump the gun just yet. Let's let this play out. Let's add these other words to it.
And I think this is also when you can slow down, right? This is when you can way back, or, deep in the alleyway, at the track, whatever it is. But you've got to get up there and you've got to build because you can't peak too soon. Back with the Edmonds calls, you remember the one going back. You can still insert the location, but you really do need to keep that build going as you're tracing the flight of the ball. For a young broadcaster and calling home runs, this crushes them because they've got it off the bat, right? Hammered to left. They know exactly what they want to say for their home run call, but the ball needs time to travel. And in this spot, it's the exact same thing. The ball is traveling. The outfielder is tracking it. And so I think that's such an important point that you're making is follow that outfielder, follow that ball all the way back to the catch point.
I'm glad you brought up for young broadcasters because a lot of times when you're first calling games, maybe it's high school, maybe it's college, you may not be way up at the top of the stadium where you can have this wide view. You might have a tough angle. You might be squeezed into a location where there's people right next to you. You might be really low. You might be looking through multiple different fences. It's really hard to get a judgment on it, to be able to see exactly what's happening out there. You may not even have a monitor to help you to, if you're doing college baseball. I know there's a lot of times I very, very rarely ever have a monitor when I'm calling college baseball. So those are the times where I think that you fall back even more to describe the outfielder, describe what the outfielder is doing. Is he on the dead run? Is he slowing down? Is he coasting toward it? Is he turning and watching? Is he about to run into another outfielder? Is there 2 of them that are in pursuit of it? And I think that my number one thought as we talk about this more is that You can never get caught if you're describing what the outfielder is doing. If you describe what the baseball is doing, you might get caught. But as long as you're describing what the outfielder is doing, you probably are safe no matter what your environment is.
A cliche that I've heard often, and I had a co-broadcaster who would always use this whenever an outfielder was tracking a ball, was on his horse. Whenever a ball was hit, my co-broadcaster always put that outfielder on his horse. And I finally had to say, what do you think this means? Because speaking from imagery, okay, it's great. He has found a horse, he is saddled up, and he is galloping into the gap to go get this ball. Not when he's moseying over to his left to pick off a routine fly. But it's fun to think about what can you do to impress upon your audience that sight of urgency, that outfielder is urgently pursuing it.
I just wrote down galloping because I'm thinking about what are different other action verbs that we could use, right? Races after it, sprints after it, dashes after it. Now I want to make another list of, along with my bottle of wine and my catchphrases of all the different verbs. But you're the one who literally wrote the book about this. Give us some other verbs, Jesse.
Well, I think all of the different synonyms for chase, right? Pursue and track, that gives you that same feeling of that outfielder is trying to track that ball down. I love runs it down. I love flags it down. You can also connect it to a receiver reeling in a pass. Where I've gone wrong, and this is a trap that I want to warn people against, is describing right or left. Because our right and the outfielder's right or left, it changes, right?
Mm-hmm.
If that center fielder is looking into the right center gap, I might think to myself, all right, the ball is hit to right. The center fielder's moving left, and it can get very confusing for an audience.
Whenever there's a ball that's hit in a gap, I'll sometimes like to use both outfielders' names right away. Nothing else. It's number one, it's for me. Number two, it's for the audience that there's two different people who are going after this. And so this way, it's fresh on my mind. These are the two names that are going after this ball. And then this way I can, and maybe I'm saying, I'm just going to use Johnson and Jackson because it's easiest to keep track of. I might say Johnson and Jackson both going after it, and maybe whatever name I happen to say next, Jackson slows down to get out of the way. Johnson takes charge, or the center fielder calls him off. The center fielder takes charge. Sometimes I'll interchange a name for the position, especially because at the minor leagues, these are still mostly anonymous players. And I think that I would rather just get it right in the moment that this is the center fielder than be able to say the name later, right afterward. So I think those are some of the cheats that I might use on a play like that.
My crutch verb is converge.
Mm-hmm.
Johnson and Jackson converge. And then after that, I look for who's trying to call off the other. And sometimes they smash into each other.
All right. Sometimes it's about the catch, and then sometimes it's also about what happens after the catch as we get to our next clip.
There goes. And that ball's hit in the air, left center field. Laureano on the run, and he makes the catch. They got a chance to double up Young, and the throw is in time, and he got it. Unbelievable.
Oh, my God.
That throw.
Oh, my God.
To Canna, it wasn't from the cutoff, man.
That's unbelievable.
It was from Laureano.
I mean, the catch alone was enough. But to finish it off with a double play, and oh, by the way, here we go. Yeah! That's unbelievable.
That's one of the best catches you have ever seen in your life, I promise you.
So 5-0 A's lead, top of the fourth inning. Maybe the best play of the year. Wow. And we've seen Matt Chapman make some terrific plays, but that's going to be tough to beat by Ramon Laureano.
I think the one thing about, well, there's several about it, but how about running full speed to left center, having to take several steps to stop, and then to throw? That's amazing. I mean, give him about 3 on the one play for outfield assist.
I still can't really process what my mind just witnessed.
Yeah.
For him to track that ball the way he did out to left center, the wherewithal to make the throw, and the throw from the track.
From the track.
Oh.
But it was, I think, Kai, the way you said it, that wasn't the cutoff man. That was him.
All right, it's worth like 7 more looks.
At least, and we'll see it a lot. But to go, runners on the move. This is a double. This is a run scored. Young says, I got a chance to score. Watch this. 3 or 4 steps, and then, here we go. And a perfect throw in the air. Unbelievable. And you can 2, 3, 4, 5 steps. Sorry, Dallas, and then to throw, that's unbelievable.
Perfect throw.
Just like Cespedes, just like you said, Ken.
It was Cespedes-esque, and we're trying to figure out which play was better. I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you right now, Cespedes play, when it grows up, it wants to be this play right here.
That's right.
This is otherworldly. This is ridiculous.
That is just unheard of for, first of all, an outfielder to have that kind of arm strength. You just don't see it anymore. But he obviously works at it. Got Piscotty smiling. All those guys are smiling.
The last angle is my favorite of the throw, right? Where the camera's in center field. And that's when you can really see, because most of the other angles, the camera operator isn't trained to follow a ball that high, that low. You see the first baseman's feet. You see a number of different things that are happening. By the way, that's Glenn Kuiper doing play-by-play. That's the late Ray Fosse. May he rest in peace. Just a wonderful, wonderful human being who was second. And then that's when Dallas Braden was the third broadcaster, and he would often be in the stands or in the dugout in order to provide a different perspective, which he definitely does when he keeps saying, "Oh my God."
Which that's his exclamation. And it fits it. And Dallas Braden is different, and I appreciate him for that. And this is a moment that I do think requires the exclamation all the while you're processing it. I don't know how, but I do think that there needs to be space for that kind of emotive reaction all the while we're saying, here is what factually occurred.
I'm not usually a huge fan of the 3-person booth. I know it's become a lot more common in the postseason on television. I think it can work a whole lot better on television than on radio. But I think that this is an example of where 3 people add 3 different perspectives, and it's really good. You've got Kuiper with the call. You've got Fosse, who's describing it as an analyst, and then you just have Dallas Braden going, "Oh my gosh, that is the greatest catch I've ever seen in my life and the greatest throw I've ever seen in my life," to follow it.
Yeah, it works. I love it. Any final takeaways from our conversation about how to call a great catch?
I want one more before we sign off.
Let's do it.
One more, because it's not always players who make catches.
Oh.
Reynolds sends one high and very deep and very gone. Great grab by a fan in the back row of the bleachers. Look at that catch.
That's the play of the day so far.
That is
no, yeah, he made
that ball is from like 1950 that he threw back onto the field.
That was
you see that thing?
That was his first Little League win ball he just threw back onto the field.
Okay, there's 2 things that we have to get into. Number 1, Jesse, I was terrified that fan was going to be like Brad Comisk and fall over the railing. Where was his wife and other fans to catch him before he falls over?
Low center of gravity. It's all about the center of gravity.
And then the second thing is, did he throw back a different baseball? Is that what was being insinuated by those announcers?
Well, if you look at his glove, there was a ball still in the glove after he threw the home run ball back.
Who sits in the last row of the Wrigley Field bleachers and stands up and risks their life to make a catch and then already is ready to throw a ball from the 1940s back onto the field? That is some next level preparation, if that indeed was the scenario.
Chestnut checkers. This is, you've probably seen bullpens do it, right? Where the ball gets grounded into the pen and the kids are all clamoring for the ball and the reliever does a little subterfuge, right? A little sleight of hand. The ball that just got grounded gets kept, and a different ball, a bullpen ball, gets handed to the kid.
That's still an amazing catch. I don't want to take away from the dexterity of the daring, the reach. Everything about that catch by that fan was unbelievable.
Well, the parallel structure, Josh, that you have set up from Japan to Wrigley about going to the top of the wall and beyond.
All right, now let's get to our wrap up of number of things that we've learned today and most important elements when describing a spectacular catch.
So I want to start with your detail of how do you describe the outfielder's pursuit? How do you do it in non-repetitive language that helps the call build? Because your description of that maintains the chance that the ball might be caught, knowing the outfielder, watching the flight of the ball. I think that is so important. Then we didn't see any of this, but a broadcaster trap to fall into is to assume that the ball is going to fall, and then you get caught. So I really like that. That was one of my chief takeaways. And then my other chief takeaway is you just need an exclamation. You need something to let out after somebody pulls off the absurd.
One of the things I've started to do more often, especially this year, is describe that an outfielder, maybe I'm saying that he's pursuing the ball, whatever word I'm using, and I'll say he checks the wall. Or I might say he's reaching for the wall. Because in my mind, you're not reaching for the wall if you're at dead full speed. You're just going after it. But if you're reaching for the wall, then you're starting to slow down a little bit. And that also means that he's at the wall. So I might say he checks for the wall, he reaches for the wall, or he's at the wall, or he jumps at the wall if I think he's got a chance to rob a home run. And I actually was pretty proud of a call that I had earlier this year of someone robbing a home run where it's high enough that the outfielder had enough time to go back, time his jump. I felt like I was almost doing this dance with the outfielder, and I felt like I was able to make a really good call that I liked, that I wasn't too critical of myself on. And I think that adding that element of at the wall, reaching for the wall, checking the wall, helps slow you down, helps paint the picture.
Josh, if you were able to, with your brain, with your mouth, you're able to react to the movements that quick as the player is doing them, and you're right with them, and you know where the ball is, and you are basically channeling yourself in the moment at the wall yourself. That's really good broadcasting. That's high-level broadcasting.
The key is a really high fly ball. The harder the ball is hit, the more line drive it's hit, the more that it's toward a corner. You can't get away with that. But it's also knowing the center fielder's got a chance, that he's tall enough, that the wall is an area where you can rob a home run. That's where, again, I go back to, we need more walls that allow outfielders to show off their athleticism and make these mind-boggling catches.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to go to the Isotopes management and say, can we lower the fences in some areas? I want to see more spectacular catches.
Like a rock climbing wall where you just put little things here and there, and so they can just pull themselves right all the way up.
All right, Jesse. This was super fun. Great episode.
Hey, Josh, thank you. This is great.
For Jesse Goldberg-Strassler, I'm Josh Suchon. This is Crafting the Call. We'll talk to you again next week.
Catch us next week.